צופיה, ירושלים. יונתי בחגבי הסלע, בסתר המדרגה, הראני את מראך, השמיעני את קולך, כי קולך ערב ומראך נווה. אחת היא יונתי תמתי, אחת היא לאמה, ברא היא לילדתה, ראו הבנות ויעשוה, מלכות ופילגשים והללוה. I'd like to say a few words about the name that we picked, צופיה ירושלים. There really isn't words to describe how much we were looking forward to meeting her. As soon as the date started getting closer, all we can do is wait and look forward to meeting her. The word Tzofia means to look forward. Okay? It's God is looking forward. Tzofi, Hashem. Hashem is looking forward. The name Tzofia talks about a deep longing to something we don't know yet. We look far ahead into the distance and wait for it to come. We are waiting for Mashiach. We are waiting for the building of Yerushalayim. And at the same time, God is waiting for us. This is God's waiting. Tzofi Hashem. Yerushalayim is such a loaded name. Something so very heavy for such a small little girl. There's a lot of reasons for the name Yerushalayim. Tzofia Yerushalayim was born on Rosh Chodesh Kיסלו. The essence of Kיסלו is light. So much light. The light, the first light that God creates, is the light that brings light to the whole world. It is the light that gets rid of the darkness. It is the light that gets rid of nothing and creates something. It is the light that warms up the world when it's so very cold. Today, there's a lot of... the world is very cold. The world has a lot of disputes, a lot of conflicts, and there isn't enough light in the world. So there wasn't a single name that we could have given that had that much light. Oh, wouldn't do it. Me'ira wouldn't do it. We needed to bring back the Ganuz, the light that God used to create the world. And that light is the light of Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, Rosh Olam. There's a midrash that says that before God creates the world, He created Eretz Yisrael. And from within Eretz Yisrael, He creates the rest of the world. The midrash continues and says, before God creates the world, He digs deeper and He creates Yerushalayim. He builds Yerushalayim. And from Yerushalayim, He creates Israel. And from Eretz Yisrael, He creates the rest of the world. And the midrash continues and says that before God creates the world, He creates the Bet HaMikdash, and from the Bet HaMikdash He creates Yerushalayim, and from Yerushalayim He creates Eretz Yisrael, and from Eretz Yisrael He creates the rest of the world. The Midrash finishes and says, before God created the rest of the world, God creates all of the neshamot of all of the children, and from that He builds Kodesh HaKodashim, the holiest of holiest, and from that Yerushalayim, and from Yerushalayim He creates Eretz Yisrael, and from Eretz Yisrael He creates the whole world. The light, the endless amount of light that's coming from Yerushalayim is the light that the whole world exists from. Without that light, the world does not exist. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rav Kolnemus Kalman from Piasetzna, was a rabbi before the Holocaust. He was a rabbi that believed that children needed rabbis and not adults. Adults, whether you're there or not, they will be Jewish or they won't. But a kid needs a shepherd from a very young age, needs someone to look out for him, needs someone that he can come and ask questions to from the first moment. And he wrote a lot of very, very important books. And a lot of these books would have never come to light if not for this note. Right before the Holocaust, he started writing in the ghetto. He started writing different books. One of them was a book called Kodesh. And attached to Kodesh, he leaves a note. And then in the note it says, "Dear sir, when you read this note, I don't know if there will be any more Jews in Poland. The truth is, I don't know if there's any more Jews in Europe. There may not even be any more Jews in the world. But I am sure of one thing. If you are reading this note, that means there is at least one Jew left in Yerushalayim." This is because if you're reading this note, that means the world still exists. And the world can only exist with Yerushalayim. Please send this to Yerushalayim and have it printed. And it did. And we have this we have it today because of that. The world cannot exist without Yerushalayim. Am Yisrael cannot exist without that connection to Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim can't exist without that connection to our very holy nation. There's no Jew in the world, doesn't matter how distant, that has come to Yerushalayim and hasn't influenced, it hasn't impacted him from the inside out. It just really, really moves you. There's no place like this in the world. No place with this much connection, that the people have this much connection to it. The most patriotic man in America, he won't shed a tear if you say the word Washington. But even the furthest Jew, when he comes to Yerushalayim, when he hears about Yerushalayim, something inside lights up. Something starts to cry and say how much we miss it. Unfortunately, not all of our brothers and sisters around the world are able to come to Yerushalayim. So that's why we're going to bring Yerushalayim to them. Be'ezrat Hashem, this very holy neshama, Tsofia Yerushalayim, will help bring people closer together and closer to God, and help bring real peace and Geula Shlema and Mashiach. Uvenei Yerushalayim Ir Kodesh Imhera B'Yamenu. Thank you all. Mazal Tov.